Personally, I think as a society, we need to stop making and organising events if we have no experience in doing so and charging people loads of money when we have like no capability to actually deliver what we've offered. Hello everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Ren and I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture, and today we are talking about A Million Lives Book Festival and why it is BookTok's answer to DashCon. In fact, the actual organizer of DashCon made a video and was like, what the fuck was this? And that's how you know you've messed up. What is A Million Lives Book Festival? Let's start at the beginning. Always a very good place to start. Let's have a look at their website. The festival was run by Archer Fantasy Events, and it was set to be on the 2nd to the 3rd of May in Baltimore, Maryland. Mind, right? This event has happened and the website has still got info coming soon on the schedule, which is wild. So the event promised perfect event to make more bookish friends. This event will include a vendor hall, panels, a content creation room, fandom cosplay meetup, a cosplay competition, and a ball. And that sounds delightful. That sounds like a really good event. As someone who goes to book conventions and Comic-Con, delightful. It's pretty standard for what a lot of them have. 3 different ticket types. So we had the page turner, which was $50, and this included access to the vendor hall, cosplay meetup, and content creation room only on May 3rd. Then you had the Cloud Walker, which was $150, and this ticket included access to the vendor hall, cosplay meetup, panels, event swag bag, and content creation room on May 2nd and 3rd. And then the most expensive ticket was $250, and this was the Dream Maker, and this included access to vendor hall, cosplay meetup, panels, event swag bag, and content creation room on May 2nd and 3rd, and then access to the Lavender Romance Ball. Now, I wouldn't be making this video if any of those things had happened. So the schedule is on their website. Registration, and apparently authors and visitors have said there was no registration. Then the vendor hall, Journey of Being an Indie Author panel, Akatar cosplay, vendor hall, writing diversity, BIPOC, Cruel Prince cosplay, bookish song collective performance, world building panel. And then on the Sunday, there was registration, cosplay competition, writing diversity, LGBTQA. I is not there. Bookish song collective performance, vendor hall, crafting compelling characters, the art of voice acting, and Lavender Romance Ball at night time. And those things didn't really happen. And if they did happen, they did not happen as planned. Now, this event was a complete disaster. I don't think it was necessarily set up to be a scam at the beginning, but it turned into one because I do just think that the organizer over her head, and instead of cancelling it like she should have done and refunding everybody, she just didn't. She just carried on taking money and promising things that she was not able to deliver. So the thing with this one is a lot of the events that we've heard about over the last year that have been complete flops, Willy Wonka, and the Bridgerton one, there wasn't ever like the authors also involved. It wasn't like a convention, you know, these were sort of like one-off immersive events. Not that that makes any worse or better, but the fact that this one, not only did the guests that had paid for their tickets lose money, authors lost a lot of money. And I think this is what people are not realizing, is like how much goes into being an author, particularly a lot of these authors that are indie authors or self-published authors. The financial cost of this is something which some people might not ever be able to recover from. I think there was one author, I'll see if I can find the TikTok and insert it, who said there is like, I'm not going to be able to recover from the costs of all of this. And this is where the problem lies. So there were a lot of issues surrounding the authors. Selena, who is an author, but she's also the owner of Midnight Owl Books, and she was the bookstore that was like the host bookstore of the event that was going to be selling books out the shop and everything. And she was asked to be the host bookstore at 5 weeks beforehand because she was told that the bookstore before had pulled out, which she now knows was a lie.
Hi, so I didn't know if I was going to make a video or make a statement, but a lot of people are asking me to, so here I am. My name is Selena, and I also own the Midnight Owl Books. We were the official bookstore for the event called A Million Lives that was in Baltimore this past weekend. I was also attending as an author, so I had 2 tables. I was asked to be the bookstore about 4 or 5 weeks ago by Grace, the event runner herself, because she said that the previous bookstore bailed on her, which I know now is not the truth. And I'm going to be completely upfront with everything that she offered me. She offered me $2,000. She offered me lodging. She offered to provide me with all of the profits from the books. So she was providing the books, and I got to sell them and keep the money. I first told her that I did not think that was fair for her, and after trying to make it so that we split the profits twice, 3 times, 4 times, she kept saying no, that this is what she wanted. So eventually I relented and I said, fine, I'll keep all the profits, whatever. She told me that she was going to be buying about like $5,000 to $8,000 worth of books, which means that I would be getting about $5,000 to $8,000 in profit. I was very excited about that. She provided the books. She took the very, very, very long time to tell me even what books were being ordered, when I should even have inventory counts for the books. On top of that, though, I had no hotel confirmations. I had no money, so the $2,000 that was promised to me, I only got like 5 days before the event, and that was because I said that I needed to figure out staffing for the booth if she wasn't going to pay me that money, because that money was going directly towards paying for my dog's boarding, because I have 2 German Shepherds, and I obviously couldn't bring them with me, and my fiance was going to be working the TMO booth. So after being ignored for 3 days, her saying that she went on a little mental health break, I got $900 at least to cover the dog's boarding. So she still owes me $1,100, and yeah, her excuses range from my identity was stolen, the bank took money out of my savings and sent it to a random person, which does not happen. The convention center scammed me. The convention center stole boxes from me. They stole VIP bags from me. They stole all this stuff from me, which were all proved false when several authors reached out to the convention center and spoke to them directly and learned that Grace had said that we were all going to provide our own tables and chairs and everything, which Grace said that was not the case. And they never went to saw the boxes or anything that she said that they supposedly lost. I went into this event trying to just be a happy little camper, thinking like, you know what, I'm gonna make the best of it. It is what it is. There were so many of us, and it was so disorganized. A lot of us just picked random tables. We didn't even know if this was the correct table for us to be at. There were maybe like 20 people, if that, on the first day. Most of the books I sold went directly to authors or author assistants. With that being said, I think I sold 2 books, if that, on the first day. Also on the first day, we were made aware that her card was declined for the hotel that we were shoved into, a hotel that had black mold in the shower, and the ceiling in the shower was also caving in. So that was fun. A friend of mine ended up coughing blood on the second day because their mold was so bad in their room, and be stranded with no hotel room because Grace's card was declined for everybody's hotel, or we had to drop everything and pay for it. So being that it was the middle of the first day, my fiance just paid for the room, and we didn't even have a chance to find a better room, one that wasn't full of mold, one that wasn't just absolutely disgusting. On day 2, there was a lot of miscommunication on what time it actually started, so I got there 30 minutes late because I was under the impression that it started at 10. Some people were under the impression that it started at 9. It did start at 9. Half of us weren't there till 10 because that's what we were originally told. Anyway, so these authors didn't even have books, and she blamed me, so naturally I had to do 2 days worth of damage control, but I kind of expected that because before the event I was told that she was telling people I was scamming her, I was stealing money from her, and I was holding her to a super strong contract for 2 years. Keep in mind, we didn't have a single contract. Everything was done via email and text, so we didn't have a contract, and if she was unhappy with anything, that was on her because I offered to split profits multiple times. So again, 2 days of damage control, making sure people knew that this was not on me, but I still did everything I could to take care of these authors, and while also working my own author booth. But on day 2, I come in, and she's walking away with an armful of stock from my author booth and vendor booth, saying that the VIP bags were stolen by the convention center, which means all VIP guests didn't receive anything, so she was taking stock from my booth, and she's like, oh, I'll reimburse you for them, but she just walked away with stock from my booth, meaning I couldn't sell those books. And then, no warning or anything from Grace about this, they just took a book, and all of these attendees were so sweet, and they felt so uncomfortable doing so, but they were scammed too, so I'm like, no, take a book, you at least deserve to get something out of this. Later on in the day, people started showing up saying that they were featured influencers and everything, and because of all the events, they were told they could take 2 books, and I verified this, and they were told that they could take 2 books. So again, I gave personal books, my own personal series of books, because that's what these people wanted, and again, they were scammed, and so I wanted to make sure that they were taken care of at least, because at the end of the day, these attendees paid money to be here to see all of us authors, and I was like, I will take the hit if it means that these people could at least have a good experience. So I did everything.
So yeah, she's now out loads of money and is owed money by the event for what she lost during that, and she wasn't the only author. So authors were told that there was going to be like about 600 people in attendance, right? And that is really good if you're trying to promote your books, if you're trying to sell your books. 600 people is a lot of people, and that sounds really good and really promising, and you think about how many people you're able to reach in the vendor hall. So this is what the vendor hall actually looked like. Now, as someone who has been to creator days, like I went to Summer in the City's Creator Day way back when I was sort of newer to YouTube, and this hall looks like what it looks like in a convention center when you are taking things down and setting it up. Like, this does not look like a fully formed, busy vendor hall. That's not what a vendor hall should look like. If anyone's ever been to Comic-Con or another book convention or anything like YALC or anything like that, or even BookCon, the New York one, which like I was thinking about the other day, I miss her so much. I might make a video about what happened because like, we lost a good event when BookCon went. This is what like a vendor hall should look like, you know. And I know this was a smaller event arranged by smaller people, but a vendor hall should not look like this, and it should not be this quiet. So being told, oh my god, 600 people, that's so many people. But the reality was, like, the first day there was like 10, 20 people. Celine was saying the second day it was like 40 people. Like, no one came. And either, like, I don't understand how they were able to, like, give these numbers, because surely they've got ticket sales, like, they've got who bought these tickets. So it's not like, that's not, where did you get that information from? Were you just lying? Were you just trying to make it sound better? I don't understand where you got these numbers from. Some authors were saying, was it that the extra numbers were the tickets that the authors bought, in which case there should have been separate ones so you knew the attendance of the general public to know who was going to be coming, because to tell people that they're going to be selling their things and talking to hundreds of people is very different when the reality wasn't even 100 people. They also had these swag bags. So authors kind of came together and made these like swag bags for all of the guests with like little bits of merch and that kind of thing, like little goodie bags. And these went missing. These went missing. And people have since contacted the convention centre and have been like, hi, like, we were told you weren't allowed to put these out. And they were like, no, we didn't have anything to do with that. So people are now like, where are they? Have they been lost? Were they stolen? Were they just kept? Were they never put out in the first place? Like, what happened with these swag bags, which is also money? Like, to produce any kind of merchandise for your books, even if it is just a bookmark, it's still money. It's still at a financial loss for authors to give merch for free and then not like actually that be anything. Like, to just have that taken is not fair. Like, it was not what it was intended for, and it's such a misuse of what they were supposed to be used for. And it's such a letdown for the people that were attending who were promised these things as well. And, you know, if people are thinking that there's a 600 people attendance, there must have been a lot of them. Authors were also promised that they would be given lodging. And they got to, there was one hotel, and then they couldn't stay at this one hotel. They went to this other one. The card was declined. The event organizer, Grace, her card was declined at the hotel. So these authors then had to pay out of pocket again for this hotel that was like covered in mold, that was just really not a good place to be, and was somewhere where like they didn't want to be, but they had nowhere else to go. Like, they had nowhere else where they were supposed to be. So they just kind of lost more money. So people had to pay it out of pocket, which is money that they don't have. Like, if you are planning on going somewhere where you are told that your accommodation is provided for you, you are not planning on spending the money on accommodation. And like I said, so many of these authors have already paid so much money for providing their books, for flying there, for any, you know, childcare or anything else that they had to do, that they're not then anticipating spending loads of money on a hotel room. And especially a hotel room which is just like not up to standard as well. Is the whole like organization and the setup of it is absolutely awful. Like, it was awful. So there was one of the panels that was that I read before, Writing Diversity, the BIPOC one. And it was a panel full of BIPOC authors, and it was chaired by a non-BIPOC person who had never chaired an event before. And obviously a chaired event is always the first time you're gonna chair. You know, everyone always has their first time chairing an event, and it's terrifying. And, you know, speaking with authors, it can be really nerve-wracking. But to get someone who has like no like relevance to what these people are talking about and does not understand, like, they are not in their shoes, to have an event which is all about diversity and BIPOC authors and celebrating BIPOC authors, and then one of the main like people that is there, because everyone's always listening to what the chair is saying, is not a BIPOC person. Baffling. Disability accessibility was also really poor. Authors had to pay if they needed like extra support. The event was not supplying that. The authors had to pay for that themselves, which not only were the panels poorly organized, like didn't have the relevant people actually talking about this stuff. Like all the accessibility was horrific. The people that were attending the panels had to sit on the floor. There were no chairs, there were no tables. People had to sit on the floor, which in itself is like a huge accessibility issue. There will be people who are unable to do that. There are people that need proper support. And also it's just like, who goes to a convention and sits on the floor at a panel? Like, this needs to be chaired, and the organisers told the convention that the authors would bring their own tables and chairs. What? How do you think people are getting tables and chairs through TSA? Like, what? Who in the history of any convention ever in the world has anyone bought their own tables and chairs? What is that about? I am baffled. Like, what on earth? There was a tattoo artist, and she was told that there would be like electricity. There would be something where she could charge everything, like charge her pens and her equipment. Wasn't provided that. Basically everything that was promised, everything that they were told they would receive, they didn't get it. It is genuinely baffling to me, like, that this is something that was able to go ahead. Like, you have to cut your losses at some point. Like, you have to realize this is something which is not working out. This is not working out how I envisioned it. This is not something that I was thinking that I was gonna, like, I'm way over my head. And yeah, it's frustrating when you have to let people down and you have to tell people that an event is cancelled, but it is so much better to cancel the event than it is to let this happen. Have an event where there is so much disorganization, where you are putting people so much out of pocket, where you are taking resources from people and they were resources that people weren't planning on giving. You can't make something non-accessible. You know, I'm a disabled person. Accessibility infuriates me, and obviously I don't know the medical situation of the people that organized it, but so much of the time people organizing events, if they are able-bodied people, they do not think about the accessibility standpoint and what that does to. And then even if you're not selling your tickets but you think you could still do something, find a different space, make a smaller space. Like, there's so many ways that you can do this. Like, there's so many other approaches than what has actually happened, because this is not it. Like, this is not how these events have to go. There was no decorations, there was no planning. The stuff that was put up by the authors, like the posters and things behind the stands. Like, if the authors hadn't brought that, these things would not be happening. Like, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. And this is not something which we need to stop doing this. Like, so many people have done this, and this is, like, I think one of the worst ones because of the amount of people that are like thousands and thousands of dollars out of pocket for. It's awful. Like, it is actually awful. Like, not only were the attendees out of pocket, these authors are out thousands of dollars. The event organisers have issued an apology.
Hi everybody, I am wanting to issue a formal apology. I do understand that the ball tonight was not set up to standards. There were a lot of issues with getting set up and it was not set up well. I want to apologize. If you would like a refund, please contact me and I will issue a refund immediately. Thank you.
I'll be surprised if everybody gets all of their refunds, because I do think at this point the money that is owed is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So whether or not this will be the full refund, I don't know. We'll see how people are kind of contacted and what happens. A few authors have said that they are thinking of maybe taking legal action, which I wouldn't blame them. It's a lot of money to be out of pocket for, and if it's money that you can't afford to be out of pocket for, I mean, you shouldn't, even if you can afford it, you shouldn't be out of it. But like, even more so, I think this is something which needs to be addressed, and there needs to be a lot more rules, I think, around making events like this, because it's just not, like, it just doesn't, you can't do this. You can't just make an event and say, this is my like thing. Like, you have to know that everything correct is in place, you know? And then it's just kind of wild. This keeps happening, and that this has happened on such a huge scale and has impacted so many people. Bit of a wild one. That's the kind of whistle-stop tour of the A Million Lives book convention, and I wonder if we will ever know what happened to those swag bags. Like I said, if you guys are new here, then I make videos a couple of times a week about books and pop culture. Sometimes I talk about specific books. Sometimes I talk about like fandom stuff and reviews and that kind of thing. And other times I provide commentary on bookish things that are happening in the book community. Hence, A Million Lives Book Festival. But yeah, if you want to come and follow me on here, then feel free to subscribe. And if you want to go check out my other social medias, that is all in the description as well. And I also have a queer bookish podcast where I talk about queer books and the importance of that and queer bookish history and that kind of thing. If you want to come and follow that as well, that is also in the description. I hope you're watching. I hope you're doing really, 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 really well, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.